What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel, and it's time to continue our 2023 college football predictions for the 2023 college football season. Up next, it's the Kansas State Wildcats, a team that won it all in the Big 12 last year, winning the Big 12 championship, and then obviously losing to Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. This is a pretty good Kansas State team last year. You saw Will Howard come off the bench for Kansas State. They have a really good team coming into this year as well. And like I said, looking at this 2023 Kansas State team, they do return Will Howard at quarterback. Plenty of offense coming back for this team and the returning production on the offensive side of the football. Defense is what concerns me just a little bit about this Kansas State team. But let's get right to the schedule here. Will it be another Big 12 championship for Kansas State, or will this be a step back year for the Wildcats? Let's look at the schedule here for Kansas State. Coming off a 10-4 season last year in 2022, they will face Southeast Missouri, Troy, and Missouri on the road in the non-conference. Yeah, Missouri is definitely going to be their toughest non-conference game. They defeated that Missouri team last year at home in a blowout, and this is a Missouri team that's getting a lot of hype coming into this year, and they almost have to go through the Big 12 as well. They'll play UCF, also Houston, and they'll play two newcomers in the Big 12 this year. Like I said, it's UCF and Houston, so they get both of those games at home. But let's go right through the schedule and give you a official prediction for this Kansas State team. So they start things off with two non-conference games here with Southeast Missouri, and they'll play Troy here. A pretty good Troy team in the Sun Belt. I really don't expect Kansas State, though, to have any problems in both of these games to start out 2023. And with that being said, I think Kansas State starts out pretty strong in the season. I got them starting out 2-0 with wins over Southeast Missouri and Troy. They have no business to lose both of those games. Even though they lost to Tulane in the non-conference last year, I think it was Marshall, perhaps. I really don't remember. But anyways, Kansas State will start out this season 2-0. Then they'll play Missouri on the road here in the non-conference, September the 16th. Big game here. They used to be, Big 12 conference rivals, not like big rivals or anything like that, but Missouri's going to be a pretty good team. They have a lot of production coming back on both sides of the football. The defense should be pretty strong. This is a road game for Kansas State. It's kind of one of those upset alert type games. Maybe Kansas State is ranked in the top 15 by this point, but this is honestly a tough game for me, and Missouri's out for revenge in this game. With that being said, I think the Tigers pull off a huge upset here against the Kansas State Wildcats, and I got Kansas State losing their first game of the season on the road at Missouri. UCF coming up next after that, one of the newcomers in the Big 12, and this is their first game here in the Big 12 to open up 2023. UCF's going to be a really good team. They do have a lot of production coming back on both sides of the ball. They got really some good talented players. The question is, though, can they really compete here against this Kansas State team? They can, but this is a home game for Kansas State, and I kind of expect Kansas State to maybe win this one by at least a touchdown or maybe by a couple touchdowns. I'm going to go with the Wildcats here to knock off UCF and improve them to 3-1. Next game on the road at Oklahoma State. Tough place to play here on September the 29th. Yeah, this game is on a Friday, so it will be a really tough game. You don't have a long time to rest after that UCF win. So, yeah, this is a very tough place to play. Oklahoma State, I knew they lost a lot, in the transfer portal, but this team's still got some talent in the Big 12. They can really compete with all those top teams in the Big 12, including Texas and Oklahoma. So you're kind of expecting, Kansas State to maybe roll over in this game, but it's not going to be an easy game. I'm telling you, Oklahoma State's going to give Kansas State a scare. And with that being said, this is a 50-50 game for me. I'm going to go with the Cowboys here to knock off Kansas State here at home against the Wildcats. And I got Kansas State losing their second game here on the road at Oklahoma State. They'll get a bye week after playing that game. It is on the road at Texas Tech, though, after that on October the 14th. Not going to be an easy game either. Texas Tech should be a pretty good team this year, and I think they're definitely like a top 25 team perhaps. I'm not saying they're going to be a top 20 type team, but they're definitely in that top 25 conversation. This Texas Tech team, they finished really strong last year in 2022, and I kind of expect them to be a really good underdog in the Big 12. This is a team that I kind of picked as an underdog last year, and they were kind of that type of underdog. I think Texas Tech is going to keep this one pretty close, and I think Kansas State really probably will struggle on the offensive side of the ball. You never know about Texas Tech. They could probably play good defense, but at the end of the day, this is a 50-50 game for me. With that being said, Texas Tech, I think, wins one here in a close matchup. I think it's back and forth the whole way, and I think Texas Tech does defeat Kansas State and gives them their third loss. So I got Kansas State now at 3-3 after back-to-back losses on the road at Oklahoma State and Texas Tech. Then it's TCU after that on October the 21st. If you saw my TCU video from yesterday, I did predict Kansas State to win this one. I think just because of the home field advantage, it's going to play them out. This is a rematch from last year's Big 12 championship. And I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it will be a close game, but I think Kansas State is just way too talented, and obviously home field advantage does play them out. And I got Kansas State beating TCU here at home. Houston after that on October the 28th. This is one of the newcomers as well in the Big 12. Houston, obviously, a lot of question marks for both of their sides of the football. I mean, they do lose their starting quarterback from last year, but I think this is kind of like a decent team. I'm not saying they're going to be a terrible team this upcoming season. They're not getting them a lot of hype this upcoming season. But I think Houston is a team that you don't want to sleep on. But I think with Kansas State here being at home, I think the Wildcats should win this game by at least a couple touchdowns. So I'm going to go with the Wildcats here to knock off Houston. And I got Kansas State now improving to 5-3. Then it's Texas on the road here on November the 4th. Big game here in the Big 12. Obviously, Kansas State's last time playing against the Longhorns here in the Big 12 Conference before Texas moves to the SEC next year. And Texas does have Quinn Ewers at quarterback, and they also have Arch Manning, and they're going to have a lot of talent on both sides of the football. This is a road game, though. This is obviously a 50-50 game, though, for me. I think Kansas State can keep this one close for a while. But at the end of the day, I think Texas will win it here just by home field advantage. I'm going to go with the Longhorns here. I like Texas in this game, and I got Kansas State now falling to 5-4. They'll play Baylor after that on November the 11th. So Baylor, another team that's kind of, a dark horse contender in the Big 12. I think they're kind of similar, to maybe Houston and TCU. But let's be honest, the Big 12 is going to be wide open this year. There's just a lot of teams. There's any team in this conference that can win the Big 12 championship this upcoming season. Baylor, I think, can keep this one close. I think they're kind of like a decent team. I think they can keep this one close for a while, but I think Kansas State, with them being at home, I just think the talent is there for them. With that being said, I'm going to go with Kansas State here to knock off Baylor on November the 11th. So I got Kansas State's record now at 6-4. Then it's Kansas on the road after that on November 18th. A rival game here against the Jayhawks. I wish this game was played here in the last game of the regular season. I think that Kansas and Kansas State definitely deserves to be the last game of the regular season here. Kansas is going to be a pretty good team. They have a lot of production coming back, the most in the Big 12 Conference. I mean, this Jayhawks team is for real. They were for real last year, going 6-7 overall. I think this is a really tough game here for Kansas State. It's kind of one of those upset alert type games as well. If Kansas State was ranked somehow in the top 25 by this point. With that being said, this game is in the month of November. I think this is going to be a back-and-forth game, and I think Kansas does knock off Kansas State in a close one, maybe by a field goal perhaps. I think it's going to be a pretty good game, though, and Kansas comes up with the win here against their rival Kansas State. So I got Kansas State falling to 6-5. Then they'll end things out here with Iowa State here at home on November 24th. Not going to be an easy game here for the Wildcats. I think this will be a pretty good game. This game is also on a Friday night on November 24th. Iowa State has a lot of production coming back. They were young last year, and you're kind of expecting this one to be a really close game, and I think it will be a close game, back-and-forth game perhaps, but Kansas State with home field advantage will have the advantage in this game. And I think Kansas State does knock off Iowa State here to end things out 2023. So I got Kansas State finishing with an overall record at 7-5. This is really a step back year for this Kansas State team. The schedule's pretty tough, though. They have some tough road games with Missouri, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, Texas, and Kansas. That's definitely going to be their toughest road games there on the schedule. So, yeah, Kansas State, another run for the Big 12 is possible for the championship, but I think this is definitely going to be a step back year for this Kansas State team. So I got Kansas State finishing 7-5 in 2023. Let me guys know what you think about this Kansas State team. What do you think their record is in 2023? And stay tuned here for more sports content on the Lucas Ross Sports Channel.